Hello everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is July 22nd, 2024 and Barcelona have confirmed the departure of Rafa Marquez. Also, the club have officially released the full interview that they did with Hansi Flick, which I will be covering all the highlights during this video. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and before we begin with the news, just a quick reminder to make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. All of this helps this channel continue to grow. Also, if you are looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure you head to Kickback, Fanatics, or Go Kits. And if you are looking to place any sports bets, make sure you head to Bet Us. All links are down below in the description. Now, I'll begin with the news that Barcelona have confirmed the departure of Rafa Marquez. Now, as I reported previously, Rafa Marquez recently agreed to extend his contract as a Barca Athletic coach until 2025. However, he recently received a very tempting offer from the Mexican national team to become their assistant coach, or the assistant coach to Javier Aguirre for 2 years, and then becoming the head coach of the Mexican national team for 4 years after that. And it seems that Rafa Marquez could not say no to his home country, and as such, Barcelona have confirmed that they have reached an agreement to rescind Rafa Marquez's contract, and therefore he will become the assistant coach to Javier Aguirre until the World Cup, and then he will be the head coach of the Mexican national team. Now, Rafa Marquez arrived in Barcelona back in 2003 as a player, and he played at the club until 2010, winning 4 La Liga titles and 2 Champions League. Then he came back to the club as a coach in 2022, where during his first season as the Barca Athletic coach, he took them all the way to the promotional playoffs, losing in the semifinals. In this past season, which was his second season as a Barca Athletic coach, he once again took the team all the way to the playoffs, to the promotional playoffs, losing in the final. But despite the 2 defeats, Rafa Marquez did a wonderful job, not only as the coach of Barca Athletic, but also as someone who helped develop the youngsters of the academy. So to Rafa Marquez, we say thank you so much for all the work that you've done for Barcelona, both as a player and as a coach. We wish you the best of luck, and I hope you are very successful with the Mexican national team. Now, speaking of coaches, let's talk about Hansi Flick, because Barcelona have officially released the full interview of the German coach, which was done through Barca One, which is the Barcelona kind of news channel or network channel, whatever you want to call it. But we did get a little bit of snippets last week, which I did share in one of my videos, but now we have the full interview that Flick has done. It's of course his first official interview as the Barcelona coach, and I have picked the most important highlights which I would like to share with you. Now, the first thing that Hansi Flick covered was how important discipline is in his philosophy, and this is what the Barcelona coach had to say. Discipline is absolutely necessary. It's very important to arrive on time, because if a player arrives late, the rest of the team is left waiting. It is a lack of respect for the group. I am not a big fan of financial fines. We are adults and intelligent to know how this works. The mentality has to be appropriate. So Flick making it very clear that discipline is incredibly important, and I have to agree 1,000,000% with Hansi Flick, because without discipline we cannot accomplish anything, and that goes for every aspect of life, not just sports, in your work, at home, with your family, in your personal relationships. So I have to agree 100% with Flick, who stresses the importance of discipline. And I think that's going to be very important, because we have heard of some players who have lacked discipline in the past, and as such they have been unable to succeed. So hopefully under Flick they will find their way back. You know, for example, Pablo Torre, who we know did lack some discipline when he arrived at the club. Now next, Hansi Flick discussed his philosophy and how Barcelona's philosophy influenced his own coaching philosophy. And in regard, this is what the German coach had to say. Barcelona's philosophy is similar to what I did at Bayern. My goal since I started as a professional coach is to play this way. I studied a lot of things about the Dutch school. My goal is to gain control on the pitch. There's also the period I spent with Pep. I have a good relationship with him, and his period at Bayern was wonderful. What he did was incredible. I like the style and the way he develops his team. So Hansi Flick expressing how much he's been influenced by the Barcelona style of play. Of course, he has studied the Dutch school of thought, and he did say in those snippets that was released last week that Johan Cruyff was kind of his the main coach that has influence. He also highlights how he spent some time with Pep Guardiola at Bayern Munich, where he also learned from him. We also know, and this was not mentioned in an interview, but we also know that Hansi Flick, when he was getting prepared to take this job, he flew to Manchester City, where he met with Pep Guardiola in order to discuss, tactics and things like that. So we know that Flick has been influenced by the Barcelona style of play, and of course that's great because it means he will fit like a glove. Now, Hansi Flick was asked about what his idea is of beautiful football, and this is what the German coach had to say. We always want to be active with and without the ball. Without the ball, we want to direct the opponents to a place we want so that we can take the ball from them there. We want to press well and perhaps sometimes a little more than usual. So Hansi Flick explained that his idea of beautiful football is to be active with and without the ball. Of course, with the ball, having possession of the ball and consistently attacking, and without the ball, to be able to do that press that puts the opponent, even though they have the ball, put the opponent where you want them to be. That way you take the ball from them where you want them to be, and that's usually for Flick is in the final third. Leave the opponent there, take the ball from them in that final third, and that way you don't have to do much work because you're already in the final third. So all you have to do is take a shot or pass it to a player that can take a shot, and that's what Flick considers beautiful football, which is consistently being active with and without the ball, whether it's high press or attacking. And of course, that's something that we have seen in his previous teams, more specifically Bayern Munich. Now, Flick also explained that even though he does have his own philosophy that he likes to implement on his teams, he still likes to stay open to dynamic changes, and this is what the German coach had to say. We always play with our philosophy, our system, and how we want to play, but every match is different, so there may be some points that we change a little. It also depends on what the competitor offers us and what possibilities we see in this match for us. So Hansi Flick says that yes, he still plays with his own philosophy, with his own system, and he does like to change things a little bit here and there, and that sometimes he likes to stay open to what the opponent presents him, and based on that, kind of adapt to what the opponent is offering on the field. And I think this is where I have a little bit of disagreement with Flick. I think the Cruyff way, and this is something that Cruyff always said and talked about, how he did not care how his opponents played. He only focused on his team, on playing their way and subjecting the opponent to how Cruyff liked to play. And I think I agree more with Cruyff in that way. I think, it's a better way to just focus on your own system, on your own tactics, do what you want to do on the field, and impose your style on your opponent and make them react to your style, versus the other way where you're open to adapting and letting the opponent dictate what kind of tactics you're playing. I think I like it the other way around. So this is where I have a little bit of disagreement. But to be fair, Flick says that, only a little bit of changes, and that only very few times he does that. Overall, he likes to just stay focused on his own system and his own philosophy and just imposing that on the field. Now, Hansi Flick was asked about what it's like, whether it's affected him to start the preseason without key players. Of course, we know that a lot of the players were either at the Copa America or the Euros, and as a result, many of them have not participated in the preseason. And in regards, this is what Hansi Flick had to say. Starting without key players, all teams have this. It's not just Barcelona. Every team has this, and it's normal. But the best part about this is that you can get an overview of the talented players in the academy. I don't think about these things because I can't control them. This always happens to every team. So you have to accept that as a coach and also as a club. And we continue to work. So really awesome response by Flick, and I want to focus on two things. First of all, Flick looking at the silver lining, saying, yes, I started without key players, but that gave me the opportunity to try out the academy players and see what they're made of. So Flick, instead of being, oh my God, I know I have injured players, some players at the Euros are complaining. No, he says, that's okay. All the clubs deal with this, and in fact, it's great because I get to see what the academy players are made of. And the second thing is he says, I don't think about these things because I can't control them. And I really, really like that. And let's see if Flick really lives up to this, because as you might recall, Xabi was the total opposite. All he talked about was everything he couldn't control. Oh, it wasn't my fault. It was the ref. It was the state of the pitch. It was the sun. It was the fans. It was the injuries. It was this. It was that. But here Flick is like, no, no, no. I only want to focus on the things I can control. I don't want to talk about things I don't control. I really like that because that is the Cruyff way. Cruyff never talked about referees. He always said, I don't talk about things I can't control. I only talk about things that I can control. And it seems that Flick wants to follow that philosophy. Let's see if he does. Hopefully he does. Because, you know, we all saw what happens when you start talking about or blaming every other thing except yourself. Now, finally, Hansi Flick was asked about, you know, Real Madrid and how he plans to face off against Real Madrid. And this is what the German said. We have a great team and we are 100% convinced of this. Real Madrid will play only 2 matches with them. And we have more matches ahead of us. And we must focus on that. Another response that I really loved by Flick, because he's asked about Madrid and he said, look, we're only going to play Madrid 2 times. We have to focus on everything, not just Real Madrid. And I agree 100% because the season is 38 matches. Only 2 out of those 38 matches will be against Real Madrid. There's still 36 other matches against other teams. So I like that Flick, you know, everybody's like, oh, Madrid, Madrid. Well, yeah, sure, cool. We should be ready for them. But there's also, you know, 18 other teams. There's also 36 other matches. We need to be worried about all of those too, not just the matches against Madrid. So I really like how Hansi Flick responded to that question. And overall, I thought it was a pretty good interview. Of course, we will see the interview that he will have on Thursday. Once he is officially presented, then he will have to face much tougher questions. Of course, this interview was done by the own club. So you can imagine the questions were a lot more, you know, softer, not really trying to dig in or not really try to have, you know, Flick expand more and more. So we'll see how he responds to the questions on Thursday. Of course, I will be covering his official presentation. I will be making a video about it. But for now, I am curious to hear you guys' thoughts. What do you think about this interview? Did you like it? Did you not? Let me know down below in the comment section. Anyways, that is all for this video. I did do a live podcast earlier today. Lots of news there. Make sure you check it out. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. And as always, Visca Barça.